Hello, welcome to a bonus episode of Hockey Inside Out. Do you anticipate the Habs making any coaching changes during the offseason? Andrew, what do you think?
You know, if you would have asked me a month and a half ago, I would have said yes. I think they needed to bring in somebody for the power play, but Juraj Slafkovsky's development into a weapon, both shooting and passing and just creating space, has dynamically changed the power play. It's allowed Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield to be on their strong sides over on the left side there. And that power play looks excellent over the last month or so. I believe they're top 10 in the NHL in power play percentage, and they're playing almost 2 minutes every power play. You know, like they don't have much for a second unit to get some goal scoring. So they're playing a lot. They're getting a lot of reps and developing a lot of chemistry. I've really enjoyed watching the power play over this last month or so. So no, probably not.
I'll go against it. They're going to fire Marty St. Louis. No,
I should have said not head coaching.
no, but I
Stu
think
Cowan quote all over Twitter.
I think there will be changes with the assistant coaches, though. I think Stefan Robida is safe. Letowski, Burrows, and Eric Raymond, the goalie coach, I'm not so certain. Just because when Marty came in, he lost Luke Richardson and went to Chicago. I think that was a big loss because he had experience as a head coach at the pro level and running the bench and whatnot. I think Marty could use an assistant coach who's been a head coach in the NHL before, who has experience behind the bench and running the bench, and maybe help him out with some defensive zone coverage, which has been a problem with this team. And it's usually when a coach gets hired, he brings his own people in with him, right? And Marty's been on the job for 2 years, and he hasn't. I mean, Robida's the only guy who's been a change in the coaching staff since he took over. So I think there will be change. You know, the contracts are up with the assistant coaches. I think Marty might want to have at least one of his own guys there. I wonder if Vinny Lecavalier is a possibility as maybe going behind the bench. I know he's as a consultant. I know his kids are young. He didn't want to leave his family. But I think Marty could use a coach with NHL head coaching experience who's not breathing down his shoulder like to take over his job, sort of like what Jacques Martin's doing right now in Ottawa, sort of training Alfredson to become, I think, their next head coach, and they bring somebody else. But I think Marty could use a veteran coach, a Mark Crawford type, just throwing a name out there, a guy who has a lot of experience in the NHL, just somebody to lean on and maybe help him in running the bench also during the game.
Well, I think like other years, postseason, all these coaches' jobs will be reviewed, and I think that accountability will be, directed towards what they supposedly were to bring to the group. But the bottom line here is Martin St. Louis, being the head coach, is responsible for the guys that he wants to work with. He inherited these guys, other than Stefan Robida, from the previous regime, and he might want to look at, okay, are these the kind of guys? Because I think contractually their contracts are close to being up, and whether or not he wants to entertain the thought of bringing somebody that he would like to have in to do the work that needs to be done to get the team going, and whether it's power play or it's defensive zone, all areas of the game will be reviewed, and what these coaches bring and how they go about doing their job is obviously critical, and it'll be reviewed, and then the discussions will be made and decisions will be made whether or not they'll continue working with this group, or some other opportunity for somebody else to come in and bring a new look, a new personality, and life in the business.
You got to remember too, when St. Louis was hired, he was brought in as an interim head coach, right? Like they realized they had to get rid of Dominic Ducharme, like they couldn't keep him here anymore. And Gorton and Hughes thought Marty could be a good NHL coach, even though he was coaching peewee hockey or whatever with his kids before. They thought he could. They weren't 100% certain, right? And I'm sure when they made the change, I mentioned that to Jeff Molson. We're going to bring this guy in. We think it can work, and I don't think there's any doubt now that Marty St. Louis can coach in the NHL. But also Jeff Molson I think I mentioned this on previous shows. He paid Claude Julien $5 million a year for a couple of years not to coach. He paid Dominic Ducharme 1 point whatever million until he got hired again by Vegas not to coach. I don't think Molson was in a rush to pay assistant coaches not to coach. And so the fact that those contracts are up, and Marty St. Louis has proven that he can be not only an NHL head coach, but a very good one, especially on a rebuilding team. I think he'll be given the opportunity now if he wants to bring in his own guys. And maybe he's happy with the guys he has. Maybe he doesn't know, I'm really happy with these guys and I want to keep them. But I have a feeling there will be at least one, if not two, changes within the assistant coaching staff.
And how do you feel? Do you see any assistant coaches not coming back next year? If you were in Martin St. Louis' position, is there a coach out there that you think he should bring in to help him manage the Habs? Let us know in the comment section below, and make sure you go to hockeyinsideout.com to see our full episode.